already here.
Welcome back to the channel, and today we are diving deep into the most emotionally devastating and highly anticipated television event on the horizon, The Last of Us Season 3, which HBO has officially locked in for a 2027 premiere after renewing the series before Season 2 even hit screens. And if you thought the first two seasons shattered your heart into pieces, you are absolutely not ready for what showrunner Craig Mazin is constructing in the rain-soaked streets of Vancouver, British Columbia, where principal photography began in March 2026 under the production code name Megasword and is scheduled to wrap in November 2026, transforming Gastown, New Westminster, and the Bridge Studios into a flooded, post-apocalyptic Seattle war zone that will serve as the primary battleground for the most brutal conflict the series has ever depicted. The production design team has built entire flooded city blocks of overgrown Seattle, with abandoned military checkpoints and the iconic Space Needle looming in the mist, creating an immersive world that feels hauntingly familiar, yet completely alien to anyone who knows the real city. While beneath the streets, the art department has constructed claustrophobic infected hives, where spore-filled tunnels and clicker nests create sequences of pure survival horror that rival anything in the game. This season marks the most dramatic narrative shift in television history, as the story flips entirely to Abby Anderson's perspective, with Kaitlyn Dever stepping into the lead role after her devastating introduction in Season 2, taking us back in time to reveal the full scope of her journey, her training, her friendships, her first love, and the emotional wreckage left behind after Joel's death. While Bella Ramsey returns as Ellie Williams in a smaller but still absolutely critical role that will intersect with Abby's path in ways that challenge every notion of hero and villain the audience has held onto since the very first episode. Gabriel Luna's Tommy Miller becomes one of the most fascinating figures this season because after being the moral compass and heroic survivor for 2 seasons, he is now described by the actor himself as becoming the boogeyman to the Washington Liberation Front, a terrifying evolution that shows how revenge and grief can corrupt even the noblest souls in a world where the cordyceps fungus is no longer the only infection destroying humanity from within. The supporting cast has been massively expanded and promoted, with Spencer Lord's Owen, Tati Gabrielle's Nora, and Ariella Bearer's Mel all upgraded to series regulars as we dive deep into Abby's inner circle of WLF soldiers, each carrying their own scars and moral compromises, while Isabella Merced returns as Dina and young Mazzino as Jesse, anchoring the emotional reality of Jackson and the relationships that Ellie is fighting to preserve even as her world collapses around her in ways she never imagined possible. The most heartbreaking new additions are Michelle Mao as Yara and Kyriana Kratter as Lev, the Seraphite siblings who become central to Abby's redemption arc, with Lee Jun Lee joining as their mother Miriam and Clea Duvall portraying a mysterious Seraphite cultist, all of which means the religious war between the WLF and the Prophet's followers will be depicted with the same unflinching brutality that made Season 2 so unforgettable, expanding the lore of this broken world into territories of faith, fanaticism, and the children caught between 2 armies. Jeffrey Wright's Isaac Dixon returns as the ruthless leader of the WLF, and the season promises to show far more of his iron-fisted command style and the military machine he has built to dominate Seattle, while George A. Lendeborg Jr. takes over the role of Manny from Danny Ramirez due to scheduling conflicts, bringing his own energy to Abby's loyal best friend, who masks deep pain behind constant humor, and who will likely serve as the emotional anchor keeping Abby tethered to her humanity before the violence swallows her whole. Jason Ritter joins as Hanley, a hardened WLF soldier, and Patrick Wilson makes a deeply emotional appearance as Jerry Anderson, Abby's father, whose murder by Joel set this entire cycle of vengeance into motion, and his presence in flashbacks is expected to be the soul of the season, reminding us that every monster in this world was once someone who loved and was loved in return, and that the line between survivor and killer is drawn in blood that never truly dries. Behind the camera, Craig Mazin is now the sole showrunner after Neil Druckmann stepped back creatively in July 2025 to focus on Naughty Dog's intergalactic The Heretic Prophet, though Druckmann remains attached as co-creator and executive producer. And Mazin has assembled a powerhouse directing team that includes Andrew Bernstein, Hiromi Kamada, Vincenzo Natali, and David Petrarca, each bringing distinct visual languages to the WLF compound, the Seraphite Island, the flooded ruins of downtown Seattle, and the claustrophobic horror of infected hives that lurk beneath the surface. The writer's room includes Ryan James and Alexandra Chang, crafting scripts that reportedly push the boundaries of what prestige television can depict, with early set photos from Gastown showing Kaitlyn Dever in full WLF tactical gear and Kyriana Kratter's Lev in Seraphite robes, confirming that the production is capturing the massive scale of the game's second half, while expanding it with entirely new storylines that only television can accommodate, giving supporting characters room to breathe and relationships time to develop before the inevitable collision that will leave no viewer unchanged. HBO has every reason to bet big on this season, because The Last of Us remains the network's most watched original series since Game of Thrones, consistently driving Max subscription growth and dominating social media conversation with every trailer drop. And the marketing campaign is expected to lean heavily into the perspective shift, daring audiences to walk a mile in Abby's boots and understand that in this world, survival means becoming something you never wanted to be. Catherine O'Hara, who brought such warmth as Gale in Season 2, was set to reprise her role before her tragic passing in January 2026. And while her absence will be deeply felt, the season carries forward the humanity she embodied in every frame. For fans who have followed Ellie and Joel across 2 seasons of unbearable loss, Season 3 represents the ultimate test of empathy, asking whether you can still root for a character after seeing the pain that forged them, whether revenge can ever truly satisfy the hole left by a father's murder, whether forgiveness is possible when the world has already burned, and whether 2 broken women destined to destroy each other can ever find a moment of recognition before the violence consumes them both. So, mark your calendars for 2027, prepare your hearts for the most emotionally punishing 8 episodes HBO has ever produced. Stock up on tissues, and join us as we count down every frame, every set photo, and every theory leading to the moment Abby and Ellie finally collide in the rain-soaked streets of Seattle. Because The Last of Us Season 3 is not just television, it is a mirror held up to the darkest corners of the human soul. And we will be right here, breaking it all down together.